Jim Nantz remembers Augusta with Tiger Woods, a win for the ages. That'll be this Sunday, April 10th from 1 to 2 Eastern. Jim sits down with Tiger to look back on his 25th anniversary of that 1997 Masters victory. Jim joins us now on the program. Jim, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great, especially because I'm on with you. So good morning and hello, friends.
Yeah. How prepared were you for your first Masters?
Well, I thought at the time I was really prepared. It was 1986. I had a pretty deep reservoir of knowledge in my head just because I had obsessed over trying to get to Augusta one day. But when I got on property, I was assigned the 16th hole. So I was in a little tower right behind the green, and I tried to dig up anything pertinent to the history of the 16th hole. And of course, I had a lot of background on what Jack Nicklaus had done there. He had made a pivotal birdie in '63 when he won a green jacket for the first time. Of course, he had that epic day in '75 when Johnny Miller and Tom Weiskopf and Nicklaus were all battling, and Jack made a 40-foot putt up the hill to a back hole location, one of the great memories in Masters history. So I had all this information ready to go should the moment ever arrive.
That's a pretty good debut at the Masters, Jack, in 1986. Is there a better Masters than that? Better Masters story?
I think it was the most, well, listen, it's always going to get back in my mind to 86 or 2019 when Tiger's return to the top unfolded. No one saw this comeback as something that was possible, but it happened. So Jack winning in 86, and just to finish the story, he, of course, made a pivotal birdie there in 86 on his way to winning his sixth green jacket. Now, he was 46 years old at the time. And I can remember most people were shocked that he won because he hadn't won in 6 years. But on top of it, the fact that he was 46, This is insanity. How could anyone that age win the Masters? Tiger will step on the tee at 10:30 tomorrow at the age of 46.
What do you expect out of Tiger?
I expect him to play well. You never say he's going to go shoot 80 because he's not. I know he hasn't played true competitive golf since we had that Masters in the fall of 2020, in November of 20. That's the last time he played in a real tournament. We're going to not count the father-son event as a true competition, even though he's played well in them with Charlie. But I think Tiger, he even said it yesterday, the question for him isn't how he can strike the ball. It's solid. I mean, Fred Couples played with him in these practice rounds, and Freddie says it's phenomenal to watch him hit the ball. Question's going to be, how does his body hold up walking up and down the hills? This has got a lot of grade to it. And as each day goes on, how much that mounts, how much it becomes more difficult to recover. And then there's this X factor to look out for. And I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of this in the telecast as each day builds. The weather's not going to be great. It's going to be cold. And we're going to get the rain over with today and maybe overnight, maybe first thing in the morning. It'll be out of here. But then you're talking about winds and cold winds. It's going to be a high in the mid 50s on Saturday right now is the forecast. It's going to feel like you're playing in the 40s. And that's not easy for anybody, but for a broken down body, it's especially not easy.
Does he have any say, maybe behind the scenes, of who he gets to play with at
No.
first two? No?
No, none at all. You don't even get a say so in your tee time, but I think it worked out favorably for him in this regard. You either, when you play a tour event or a major championship, you either go early one day and late the next on rounds 1 and 2, or you go late early. So I think, I don't want to say there was an accommodation, but you had to give Tiger, as a 5-time champion here, you had to give him a chance to recover from round 1 to round 2. So he's going early, late. It's going to go 10:30 and then early 2 o'clock range, 2:10, something like that on Friday, which is the right thing to do.
Who's he playing with?
He's playing with Louis Oosthuizen, who was in contention at every major last year and had a couple of close calls. He's had a close brush with victory here. Bubba beat him 10 years ago in a playoff at Augusta. And he's playing with Joaquin Niemann, who I had as one of my sneaky picks coming in that you don't really have on your short list. He won in a runaway at Riviera this year, which is Tiger's tournament, the Genesis, and the kid's got a lot of game. And I know it's not going to be easy for anyone because the gallery is going to be just so thick and immense. And I don't know what the reaction would be when you find out you're playing with Tiger. You know, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world because there's just going to be so many people out there. But this is, of course, this is the most educated golf crowd in the world. So they'll be respectful and they won't move. And we'll see. Maybe they'll feed off of all that energy. I still like Neiman's chances here.
We're talking to Jim Nantz, the Hall of Famer, the win for the ages this Sunday at 1 o'clock, April 10th. He sits down with Tiger to reflect back on the 25th anniversary of that historic 1997 Masters victory. Have you ever been to the Champions Dinner?
No. It doesn't quite work that way. You have to.
Like you haven't emceed it or anything? Like you?
No. I mean, it's not like you call up the club and say, "Hey, can you reserve me a table for two at the Champions?" No, I haven't been at that one. That one has a very small audience. There's the chairman of the club, in this case, of course, Fred Ridley, and then there's all the past winners. That's it. There are no spouses. There's no friends of the champion. There's no other people that just hanging on the edges. That's it. That's the only guest list.
If I said you could sit next to anybody in that room, former champion.
Yeah. I'd sit next to my boy Freddie. There's no question.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is, by the way, the 30-year anniversary of Fred's Masters conquest, and I'm excited. He's going to play. He wasn't going to play coming here. He hasn't really played more than 2 rounds in the last 5 months. Wow. The back, that's been an ongoing issue for him since 1994, has been particularly prickly here lately, and he wasn't going to play. And he got on the grounds. He was coming here for the Champions Dinner, and Tiger got him to go out and play 9 holes of a practice round on Monday, and he felt good enough to go. So I'm excited for him.
At halftime of the North Carolina-Kansas game, what were you thinking when North Carolina was leading by 15?
I thought Kansas was capable. I really did. I thought they were really capable of making a run. But I began to start getting in my head the storylines as we would draw near to the end of the broadcast. So what I wanted to make sure I was going to cover about this North Carolina season and what they've achieved, which it's a long list of achievements. And then this is all off camera. Grant mentions, don't forget the Baylor game. Now, he wasn't saying that as a Dookie. He was just saying that as a broadcaster, we have to be mindful of the fact this team squandered a 25-point second-half lead with 10 minutes to go, and Baylor's furious comeback that led to overtime and then a restart, a reboot, and a win by North Carolina, which was pretty amazing. So I thought that's a solid point. Plus, you've got the fact that in the Elite Eight against Miami, they turned a switch and they went crazy. I mean, they ended up outscoring Miami by 32 points in the second half. You don't see that in the regional final. So there was an ability there to see them making a run. And then you had to think, if they did start to make a run, the way they approach it might be differently than Baylor, but I'm talking about the psychology. Hey, we've been here. We gave up a big lead before. It could factor in. And, they did. They made their run early. And next thing you know, Carolina's 6 down and they came back. So you had this game of runs. At the start, it was Kansas. The whole back half of the first 20 minutes, it was North Carolina in an onslaught. Then it was Kansas. And now you got the last 10 minutes. We got to settle in to a back and forth game without any long runs. So it was a great night for basketball, a terrific championship for Kansas. And I got to think that, for North Carolina, there's so much to love about this season. The pain is still there. It's still raw because you're that close to winning the championship. But the last month, if you go from March 5th to April 4th, March 5th was the Duke game at Cameron. And in that window, you're going to beat Duke twice. You're going to advance to the championship game as an 8 seed. I mean, it's a pretty remarkable season by Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels.
And the North Carolina-Duke game was a wonderful game in the tournament. And so I wasn't thinking as much as this could be Coach K's last game until we knew when the game was over that it's his last game. As you're broadcasting it, can you stay? How hard is it to stay in the moment of this is the game, not Coach K's last game?
I think, like you, I got lost in the game. I had been with Duke every game in the tournament, from Greenville, South Carolina, where they were 5 down, to Michigan State with 5 minutes to go, turned a switch and won. And then they got challenged out west by Texas Tech, and then the Arkansas game was all Duke. But yeah, I, like you, I kind of saw such a back and forth game. I wasn't really stuck on that story, but when they called the timeout with 10 seconds to go, it dawned on me that this might be it. I know I made some remark on the air about he could be huddling with his team for the last time, and it in fact ended up being the last time. Caleb Love went down and hit 2 free throws and made it a 2-possession game, and it was over. But what a Final Four. I mean, New Orleans did a great job. It was a big weekend, I think, for college basketball. We're trying to find out where it belongs in this crazy stage we're in right now. All new transfer portals, NIL. Where does the college game fit in? The one and done era has been here for a while. Can we still love it? I mean, can we still get hooked? And it's a game that's not really, well, yeah, it's about the players. It's always going to be about the players. But the one constant is the coaches and the name that's on the front of the uniform. So the quality of talent, this is not a Duke team that was Leitner, Hill, and Hurley, nor is anyone else. But it's still Duke. It's still North Carolina. It's still Kansas. It's still Villanova. And what I found this weekend, I walked away feeling pretty good about it. That college basketball, there's viability there, and it's gonna survive as it still tries to find out where its place is.
My concern, I don't know if concern's the right word, but it feels like the game is you're either 18 or you're 23. Right?
That's not going to change. It's not going to change. But you know what's interesting? I'm finding now a lot of the guys that stick with it have the pro career still there. It used to be looked at in the early days of one and done. If you didn't leave after your first year, something's wrong with you. I mean, for the really premier talent. And if you, by the sophomore year, you've got to go. Or it's embarrassing if you stick around and play years 3 and 4. I'm not talking about, collegiately and scholastically and all that. I'm just talking about NBA game planning your life and career. I see guys now that are 5 and 6 year players who have been at 2 or 3 stops, who I'm sitting next to a guy that's got an ownership position with the Atlanta Hawks in the great Grand Hill. And we see guys like Cam McGusty from Miami, who's in his 6th year. He looks like an NBA player to me. I didn't ask him on the air. I said, Grant, can he play in the? He'll definitely be in the NBA. He was in the college game for 6 years. So we're actually seeing guys that stay around for a long time. There's a guy at this year that was at Memphis, a very good player, DeAndre Williams. He played well all season long. He's an NBA talent. I asked Penny Hardaway, is he going to be in the NBA? He said yes. The kid has actually the ability, because the COVID extra year, he could come back for another year at Memphis. I asked him in his last game of the regular season, there's no chance you're coming back next year. He says, I might. He'll be 27. He's going to be eligible for Social Security when he's eligible for the draft.
When's the last time you walked the golf course at Augusta?
Well, it was supposed to be yesterday, but by the time I got in the car to drive over to the club, you could hear the horns blaring, and they brought everybody off the golf course. So it'll be here just a short while, right after this phone call. And this is one of my favorite days. I have had my recovery day. You can probably still hear it in my voice. There's still another good night's rest to get my voice back after pushing it through 12 calls during the tournament and the Final Four. But today, weather permitting, that's a big if. I have my annual ritual of going down to Amen Corner and walking across Hogan Bridge and standing on the 12th green, looking around, taking inventory of the world, my world, and walking back across the Nelson Bridge with a very full, grateful heart.
How would you do on the par 3 12th today?
Well, given that I haven't hit a shot in about 2 months, I still think I got it 50-50. I can hit it on the green.
Okay.
I'm going 8-iron.
Oh.
It depends on, by the way, I'm going to just hit it right over the bunker. I'm not going to go for the flagstick,
Okay.
particularly if
That's
it's
smart.
on that side.
Very smart.
Now, that's one thing we will not be able to answer. There is no chance I'm walking out there with a club in my hand, dropping a ball. Okay. There is no chance. I want to come back next year, man. I want to be here again.
You can't get in trouble down there.
Well, I certainly don't want to test it to find out, but I'm going to go buy the book.
Yeah.
I can still remember my first Masters that you brought up at the beginning. I went in to see the great Frank Chirkini, and as you know, he was the father of golf television. And I was just in awe of him, and he tough loved me, and he wanted, as time would evolve, he told me, I want to make you into what I think a golf anchor should be. So just shut up and listen to me. So I was a couple of years out of college. I was in my 20s, mid-20s when I first showed up at Augusta. Now I'm in my early 60s. So this has been a big part of my life. But I walked into his office and I said, Mr. Chirkinian, may I ask you a question? He said, what is it? Better be good. I said, if someone makes a hole in one today at 16, I just walked out there to see the holes today on the left side where there's a lot of action. What would I say? He said, are you serious? I said, yes, I am. What would I say? He said, son, this is a visual medium. If you say anything, I'm going to walk out of my tower and I'm going to come down to the 16th and I'm going to throw you out of the tower. You just shut up and let me do my job. So I said, yes, sir. Now he said, get the hell out of my office and don't be late for rehearsal. So I jumped out of his office and took off in a half sprint. This is like a mile away. And I'm off the 18th. There's this big land area that's between the 8th and the 18th. You know that part of the lawn that's out there. And I'm running to 16th, not to be late, when I got stopped by someone from the club. And they said, hey, what are you doing? And I said, I can't be late for rehearsal. He said, son, we don't run around here. We walk at Augusta. I thought, okay, that's the last time I've gotten a warning. I don't know if the warning is still, 2 warnings and you're kicked out of a game. So I've still got the one warning. It goes back 36 years and I don't want a second. So I'm going to go by the rules.
Great to talk to you. Great tournament. We'll be watching. Thanks for joining us as always, bud.
DP, you're the best. Love you, pal. Thank you.
Jim Nantz. Hello, friends. Remembers Augusta. Tiger Woods, he sits down with Tiger. That'll be on CBS this Sunday from 1 to 2 Eastern as they look back on 1997.